This is Whatta Ya Act.
How's everybody doing tonight? Are we enjoying the show so far? Good, good. So guys, I just want to say we have a great show tonight. I can't wait to get started. But before I do get started, I want to say that Amr and I actually went to school together a while back, and we took marketing. So I figured I'd start the show with some marketing failures, I guess I'll say. Stuff that I thought was really funny. So the first one here is Electrolux. I'm not sure if everybody knows, but Electrolux is an old Swedish vacuum company, right? And when they were penetrating the North American market, I guess they kind of lost some words in translation, but they hit they hit North America with the slogan. They hit the slogan, "Nothing sucks like an Electrolux." Yeah, and I was thinking, that's good. Like, vacuums are supposed to suck, but I don't know if I would have chose those words. What else we got? Oh, Adidas. So in 2013, 2014, there was such a thing as a Boston Marathon bombing. It was terrible. But in 2017, Adidas, because they were trying to hit the market of people who were running in this marathon, so they sent an email out to everybody who completed the 2017 marathon. And the subject line of that email was, "Congratulations, you survived the Boston Marathon." And I was like, I don't know, man, that's a little early, right? I don't know if that's ever appropriate timing.
Nah.
Tim Hortons made the list. You like Tim Hortons, Amr?
I'm not surprised.
Well, do you like Tim Hortons?
I used to work for him.
Did you really?
Yeah,
I used to
I
work for
like
him
Tim
too.
Hortons, but then until I worked for him, I don't like him.
Right. Well, here's how they made the list. So in 2017, Canada was celebrating our 150th anniversary. Tim Hortons decided to make a Canadian poutine donut. You guys ever heard of this? No? Yeah, it's not good. I don't think I'd go for it. I like my donuts and my poutine separate. But anyway, so here's how it went. It went on a donut, and then it was the potato wedges, and then it was cheese curds, and then it was gravy on a donut. Now, here's the kicker. They did this to celebrate Canada's 150th birthday. Only sold in 5 stores in America. That's kind of like coming to my birthday and saying, like, "Hey, buddy, we gave your present to the neighbor," right?
Right.
That's terrible.
I'm surprised the donut wasn't red.
Well, So Gap, another recognizable brand. So you might recognize their logo being a big blue logo with the word Gap inside. In 2016, they decided to rebrand, give a new logo. Cost about $100 million to get this done. But they changed it just for no reason at all. So they got a lot of backlash, a lot of complaints and negative press, and 6 days later, they reverted back to their original logo. $100 million and 6 days later. Ooh. Imagine being the guy that made that suggestion. I wonder if he's still working there. This one's my favorite, so I saved it for last. It's Dr. Pepper, 2007. It's going back a few years. Dr. Pepper had a treasure hunt, and it was in Boston, and they buried a coin, and if you found the coin, you got $10,000. Now, here's what I didn't tell you yet, is they buried the coin in a 350-year-old cemetery. Boston city officials found out, and thankfully the place was already closed because it was too slippery, so they couldn't go ahead with it anyway, but they would have definitely canceled that because we can't be digging up people's graves, right? Let's welcome to the stage Jenny Mallard. Come on up.
Running right back through the same old games again. Truth is, all I really wanted was a cuddle and a friend. And you were safe, close enough. I'm seeing everything in different shades of gray. But you hold me, so I'll use your warmth as an excuse to stay. I'll feel okay. You'll think it's love. And we both know I'm not the girl you used to know. We've tried a dozen times, got nothing to show. I've cried 100 million tears over you. Now it's your turn to. Shot me a few toasts deep and one too many to drink. But you love me, so I'll drown my fears down the bathroom sink. No time to think. Is this love? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We both know I'm not the girl you used to know. We've tried a dozen times, got nothing to show. I've cried 100 million tears over you. Now it's your turn to. We both know I'm not the girl you used to know. We've tried a dozen times, got nothing to show. I've cried 100 million tears over you. Now it's your turn to. Now it's your turn to.
You've got your single out now, that's I Do.
Yeah.
And so how did that go for you? Like, what was the process when you were doing that?
Okay, so my manager approached me and he was like, I really want to work together. And so that's where it all started. And I had all this music written for my upcoming album that's coming up in the fall. But I kind of, for my first single, I wanted to write something that was new and fresh and something that I had been through very recently. So I had recently went through a breakup. Oh. And I was struggling with a lot of, identity things and self-worth, self-love, things like that. And through that struggle, I decided to write that song. And it really came from the journey of self-love and self-care that I found. And I started writing it, and I wrote it. When I got the idea in my head for that song, I was like, I'm not writing a love song, I'm writing a self-love song. And I got that idea in my head, and I just went from there. I wrote it in 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I tweaked it since then, but the bare bones of the song was written in about 3 hours. And as soon as I showed it to him, he was like, this is really good. And I said, okay, do you want to release it as my first single? And he was like, yeah. And so I self-produced it.
Wow.
In my home studio. And that was kind of like just the whole project was basically to challenge myself. And I've never produced anything before. I've never done a music video before. I've never done my own website before. Wow. So I really challenged myself to just get myself out there, get the bare bones of this business on the ground, and work from there. I've always been a perfectionist.
Okay.
And this project really forced me to be like, just get something out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be what it is.
Right.
And that's what I did. I self-produced it. I got it professionally mastered, but I self-produced it, just me and my guitar, and my manager got it on Spotify, and the rest is history.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, so you have a home studio for yourself?
Yeah, lately. Yeah.
Lately. It's kind of a closet and a microphone.
Yeah, it's so basically it's a Rode microphone and Scarlett Solo. And I produced it in my basement. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I've never produced anything in my life, so it was really, obviously you're going to get a lot of critique from someone who's never produced anything before. And I did get a lot of critique, but it's not the point. The point is I got something out there and I did it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty proud of that, and again, getting over that perfectionist thing of it has to be, perfect.
Yeah.
That was the big challenge for me. But yeah, from it since then it's been a really big hit with the self-care and self-love community, and I think the message is what I wanted to get across. It's not even the the little tiny things of the producing and too much high-end things like that. It's not about that. It's about the message that I'm trying to get to people and share with the world. So,
that's awesome, and a good message it is. I feel like a lot of people could benefit from that, and I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the other things I wanted to ask about was a little bit about yourself. I guess before you got into music, you're from Mount Pearl. Were you there the whole time?
Yes.
Okay.
From my humble beginnings. I've always been from Mount Pearl. I'm still living in there. I love Mount Pearl. And that's actually where the music video, which is coming out very soon,
nice.
is filmed.
Okay.
So it's my hometown. It's everyone says I'm from St. John's. I'm like, no, I'm not from St. John's. I'm from Mount Pearl.
I like Mount Pearl a lot. I'm in Mount Pearl right now, and I enjoy the quietness, and it's pretty perfect, and it's close enough to everything that you want to be close to, in my opinion.
So the music video is taken on the Powers Pond.
Okay.
Area. So the Powers Pond pond, and also the trail around that, and the park there.
Oh, cool.
So beautiful, and it's part of. So the whole part of the music video it's my self-care routine, and it's actually what I do to self-care is I walk around the pond. I take a walk and I come home, and it's my whole routine, and that is authentically what my self-care routine is. It's walking around Powers Pond. That's where I live. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So when did you first start dabbling into music? I'll say what was your first introduction to that?
Yeah. So I have basically been singing since I've been able to speak. Very, very young. There is video footage of me somewhere when I was about 3 or 4. Dancing. Some of my parents are in the audience. I was checking with that. 3 or 4 where I was dancing on the tables at my aunt and uncle's.
Oh my gosh.
And I was singing, I'm a big kid, look what I can do. And with a plastic microphone. And that was probably the first video footage of me singing. And yeah, my whole family is musical. So I've really learned it from them. I say I'm self-taught, but I'm not self-taught. I am taught by my many musicians in my family. So,
right.
Yeah.
Excellent. And so, out of the family, sorry, let me just rephrase that. Is there a particular instrument that you would prefer to hear, not necessarily play, but just to hear?
Hear, in general?
Right.
I've always been fascinated by the violin.
Okay.
I've never been able to play it, but I love the sound of it. I used to listen to it and I'd be like, that's a really interesting sound. I'd love to learn it.
Right.
But it's so complicated. Have you ever picked up a violin before? Man.
I've held one in my hand one time.
Yeah, and if you don't know how to play the violin, it sounds like a bag of cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, dying cats. So, it's really bad. So I've always been fascinated by that, and my country, I've only ever performed with country, so there's always been a violin on stage with me, and I've always wanted to learn it. I've never actually tried it. I'm too much of a perfectionist.
Right, of course.
If I try something once and I can't do it, I'm like, nah.
You'd be there all night.
But yeah, no, I really enjoy the violin, even though yeah, I've never actually learned it, but I appreciate people who can play it because I know how hard it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to ask you too is like, where do you find your inspiration? Do you find it? Does it just come to you, or do you have to like sit down and set time apart to actually like work on it? Like, what inspires you to write your songs?
Every single one of my songs is written off of personal experience. Wow. So I have to feel inspired to write a song. I have to feel something strong. And that's kind of like different for the music industry because a lot of people are just writing for the sake of writing and writing so they can sell music.
Right.
And like my goal isn't really to make music, to make money. It's to make music.
Right.
And so all of my songs on my upcoming album, they are written from real life experience, and I've had to be inspired by that, which I think makes it different, authentic. I'm really big on authenticity. I really think that in order to reach people and to get a message across, you need to be writing from a place that is authentic. Mm-hmm. So with I Do, again, it was based off of a real life journey that I had, and again, the girl you used to know that I just played, that was written off a real breakup that I had, and the real feelings that I felt during that time. And with I Do, like, I actually, like, I keep a journal, and with I Do and with, I think a lot of my future songs, I started journaling recently. And it's been great because I can just underline lines in my journal and be like, you know what, that would make a great song lyric.
That's hilarious. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, like, I mean, when you're writing about your personal experiences, is it hard for you to talk about, like, the breakup and the feelings that you may have had, like, to relive that, I'll say, over and over again?
Sometimes. It depends on the subject. And, like, I'm pretty open about my journey in general when it comes to mental health and mental illness and just everything. I talk about it a lot anyway. I'm pretty much an open book. And it's not so much, actually, I find it actually quite therapeutic when I talk about it because, I wrote these songs in a place of almost like journaling. It's almost like, I'm doing it because I'm trying to get some emotions out and I'm turning it into something that someone else can enjoy. Right. And I think that knowing that people listen to my music and can relate with it is actually a form of self-care in itself because I know that they can hear it and they can relate with it and they can grow with it.
Definitely.
And honestly, like, it sometimes, like, there's a song on my upcoming album, The Anchor, and it was written for my ex-boyfriend. And that's a little hard too sometimes because it's bringing me back to the good stuff that happened in our relationship, and that's hard sometimes to relive. Sure. But other than that, yeah, like, just, I think I try to be authentic. I try to be real with everything that I speak with, and I'm open about my journey because I think that other people can learn from it.
For sure.
So, no, I don't find it particularly challenging to open up. But, certain things cause you to relive some things. But, if you're open about things all the time, it gets easier the more you talk about it.
Excellent.
So.
One of the other things I was going to ask you, too, is when we were having the phone conversation, you told me about a podcast that you had written into, and I thought that was a really cool story. And maybe you could share that for whoever's in the audience here tonight.
Yeah, so I listened to this podcast. It's called Love and Life, and it was part of some of their episodes were very helpful for me in my self-care, self-love journey. And I recorded the song I Do, I released it, and then I sent it to them, and I was like, you've helped me in my journey with self-care, self-love, and I just, like, on a whim, I put it in their submission box.
That's hilarious.
And she came back to me, the host of that podcast, she came back to me directly, and she was like, I love your song. I want you to be on the podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was overcome. I actually cried a little bit.
Oh my God.
But yeah, and it was awesome because, like, the message actually resonated with her, and she really liked it. And yeah, we recorded that a couple weeks ago, and it was great. So it's, I always try to put myself out there. It does take a little bit of vulnerability to do that, a little bit, because rejection is part of the part of the business.
For sure.
But yeah, I just kind of sent it, and on a whim, I was like, you know what, this is kind of a shot in the dark, but if you listen to it and you like it, let me know.
Yeah.
And I didn't even ask them to be on the podcast. I was just like, hey, can you listen to this? And she got back and she was like, I want you on the podcast. I was like, oh my gosh.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was awesome. Yeah, it was great.